Good afternoon. This live is going to be in English. I normally do live in my native tongue, but this afternoon I'm going to be doing this live in English. This live is about a spiritual battle that's actually going on right now. It is taking the form of a boxing match. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? If anybody can hear me, please give me a thumbs up and let me know they can see me and hear me clearly. I would appreciate it. Appreciate that. Just a little thumbs up or a comment or something. Let me see if I can actually go online and see. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Let me know you can hear me. Or a like. You hear me? I'm gonna keep speaking. You guys let me know if you can't hear me. Because I'm not sure if you can hear me. You hear me? I'm gonna keep speaking. So like I said, this live is about a spiritual battle that's actually going on right now. It's taking the form of a boxing match. The match is between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. This is between a good afternoon, Nadesh. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Tyson Fury had a couple of matches with Deontay Wilder already. Wilder had lost. Wilder, who's African American, and Tyson Fury is Caucasian. Wilder had actually won the first match. In the second match, he lost. But to put this into perspective, in spiritual perspective for you, Deontay Wilder is African American and had been claiming to be using his ancestral spirits, his ancestral force to beat Tyson Fury. So throughout the whole match, that was what was behind that, and he was really showing off his power. He was really connected with the force prior in the beginning, and suddenly as they were going at it, during the pre-conference matches, they were going at it back and forth. Of course, Tyson Fury also did attack Wilder through a slew of words, such as "you're a demon." They made him think he was a demon because he was claiming his ancestral forces with him. So they demonized, what he stood for. And eventually Deontay eventually changed his mind, it seemed. And in the last pre-conference, he actually publicly stated that he is now have accepted Jesus Christ. And in that, Tyson Fury also congratulated him and said, congratulations that you have chosen the quote unquote the right God. So the match is this coming Saturday. We will see what's going to happen. Of course, we know that Wilder is going to win because we are putting all this energy out for him, even though he has claimed the false God, but we are putting all this Kemet energy behind him. The ancestors have not abandoned him, even though he may have gone the other way, but we still going to rule for him, and he's going to win this. And this is actually going to be Fury's last match for his career. So that's what we want. That's what's going to happen, pretty much. But the reason why I'm discussing this, of course, because this has to do with spirituality and mental alienation. This shows greatly how, religion can play such a mind game on us, Black people. It goes to show that here he was rooting for his ancestral forces, ancestral spirituality, and somehow the religious, powers over, centuries of brainwashing and religious intimidation and how that can play a role sometimes in us not being able to stand correct, not being able to stand literally straight within ourselves, within our own ancestral forces, which requires that we understand it, get to know it, and becoming one with it. That is what the force is. It's not like religion where you basically follows a script, or you follow a certain script, and then that's it. Our spirituality demands that we stay within ourselves, because it's part of who we are. It's part of everything that we do every day. It's part of nature. It comes from nature. It is a direct connection with the cosmos. It is how we connect with the cosmos. So it makes sense that we have to stand in it firmly throughout our lives, and be one with it, regardless of the intimidation that the other forces. Because right now, what people don't understand is that this whole religion thing is really, behind that is really a battle of energy. It's you being in a religion. Really, religion was made up. Religion was invented as a form, as a way to capture energy. Okay, so when we are religious, when we became religious, which I hope that we were tortured to become religious. We were tortured so that we can accept a certain form of deity. We were told first, before they did that, they demonized our gods. They demonized what we were. They demonized who we were. The Bible states in Genesis chapter 9, verses 18 to 20, that our 666, which is, that they called it the mark of the beast, which basically state that we, with our melanin, okay, the color black, our melanin was demonized, and they said that was the mark of Satan, which they made up. The idea of Satan is another made up thing as well. And in there, of course, in Genesis, it was said with the Noah, going to sleep and so forth, that one of his sons saw him naked, and as a result, Noah punished his son, saying, "You will be slave to your brothers," and that your dark skin is now, because of that, your dark skin is cursed. And we go to Ephesians 6, chapter 5 and 6. Verses 5 and 6. It also tells you there, you slave have to obey your master, and obey your master as you obey your master, Jesus Christ. So this is what they did. This was the setup for our ancestors coming in from their own spirituality, living in their own spirituality, thriving in their own spirituality, actually building many civilization within their own spirituality, which is the African spirituality, where they understand how to communicate with the cosmos and how to manipulate their environment and build nations and civilization and governments, all forms of institutions and laws, throughout that. And from there, they were told, with the foreign people coming in, offering them that at first, that there is another universal God. There is a possibility that that they weren't doing the right thing, and this is the God they should be venerating. And of course, I'm sure my ancestors must have been like, "What are you talking about?" This is they knew who they were, and they knew exactly how to manipulate the cosmos, through astrology. That's what this is all about. But subsequently, they were chained and became slaves. And to do that, they had to demonize, like I said, everything about us. So we were Satan. The black skin, became Satan. The idea of Satan was something that was demonic, and we were told that we were going to go to hell which is an awful place if they didn't accept. And they had, I'm sure they had to explain to them what hell is, which they did. And of course, the ancestors, they tortured them in order for them to accept this. Eventually they did, with a lot of different tactics and tortures. Fast forward, of course, 3-4 centuries later, generations are being born into this ideology in this system. Of course, that now it's just an automatic from the generation to generation that they automatically become Christians. And as they become Christians, they lose their history. They lose their history also because their history, they were not told their history the proper way, if they were told at all, or they didn't even know about their history, which basically prepare them for even more evangelization, for more brainwashing. So it goes to show you, to give you a background about this athlete who's a boxer, who's boxing this Saturday, like I said. Why would he change his mind? I don't know, but a couple of things I know is that the intimidation that one feels as they attempt, just an attempt, to disconnect from this egregore, this false egregore, which is religion. Just the attempt alone takes a lot for you to stand and say you're going to go against that, because it has been so ingrained in us and it has power over us. Although we give it power, we give it the power that it has over us, but nonetheless, it has power because we've given it power. Because how do we give it power? How does religion get our power away from us? It takes your power away from you through, first, it starts with the brainwashing to scare you, the scare tactics, the torture, or whatever message you were told, like, if you don't repent, if you don't convert, you're going to go to hell. All of these messages have an effect on our psyche. And what's in your psyche now goes through your life force, to your chi. Your chi is the life force inside of you. It is the very thing that is connected to the cosmos. It is how you, as a human being, breathe, and your heartbeat, the electricity in your body. This is how you remain alive. So the chi is connected to the cosmos. So that's your life force, that's your energy source. So as you venerate a false ideology, a false egregore, you are now not connected to the real cosmos. So your energy is going to that egregore. It's almost like your energy is rerouted and it's going somewhere else versus to the source where you're supposed to be connected, which is where you get all your energy to be, as a human being, to be who you are, to live, to be happy, to be free, to be creative, to do everything. So to be joyful. So now that your energy is rerouted and it's going to another egregore, you now then being depleted. Your own ancestral forces is being depleted. Not because the source itself is depleting, but you, within you, it's depleting because you no longer have access to it. Now, this happens to an individual. This also happens to a whole group or a whole nation, as the nation convert to another egregore, to a false religion, because religion is not connected to the cosmos. Religion is simply a set of ideas, okay? Ideas in the mind, a set of ideas, an ideology, which is, Constantine borrowed the whole African spirituality from Egypt, Osiris, Isis, and the whole thing. They took that and made their own religion. So they copied our spirituality and made their own through that. So as you venerate that, you venerate their egregore. You make their egregore powerful. You make their egregore stronger. And you become less and less powerful because you're not sitting literally in anything except an idea. And it will become powerful because you're giving it your life force, your chi, as I said. Because African spirituality, which is voodoo, is African spirituality is you connecting to the cosmos through nature. As you connect with nature, as you notice, as you know, you connect with everything else. There is nothing in your environment that is not considered a godly thing. So you venerate literally everything, and you use the four elements, which is water, fire, earth, and rocks. Yeah. Everything you do is connected to that, which you are also. So everything that come out of the earth has part of that also. So you become one with all of that. And it's not for nothing that it cannot be manipulated and becomes one person or one group of people thing. However, because we have more melanin, we as Black people, we have higher melanin content in our body, in ourselves, and that makes us more powerful. But only when we know who we are, only when we stay within who we are. Otherwise, when we don't know, all of that energy goes elsewhere for others' uses. So I just talked about that. So I'm also talking about that today. What I want to reference to is talk about artificial intelligence. So what happens as you venerate and you give all your energy to a false ideology, like I said, a false ideology, a false egregore? Well, like I said, when you're giving your energy away, it does become real because the energy is real. So if you give your energy to an idea, like if you really believe that, you give your energy to Jesus Christ become very real. Jesus Christ become an egregore. Jesus Christ become powerful. Jesus Christ then become build civilization, as you notice, and you giving it power. You're giving it all your energy. Well, over time, what happened is all is this happening as you believe in it, you believe in it, you believe in it. After centuries of believing it, it becomes its own system. It becomes a system. And in the system, when it becomes a system, after a while, it's you giving it your energy, and all of this energy is going to it, to all these different, millions and billions of people believing in it and giving it power and power and power. Then it becomes its own system. When it becomes its own system, which it did, now that we have new technology, the technology is now used with that system. So in other words, it's connected to all of these people who connected to that system before. It's connected to that. And now it becomes easier, a lot easier now, that they can connect to you without you even literally going to the church or doing anything. It's not a coincidence that it looks like religion is falling apart. We see that a lot in our society now, where churches are being burned and people are not as religious anymore. And the reason why this is happening is because artificial intelligence is replacing the Bible. The Bible was sort of like the CPU of technology, the central processing unit, where that's where all the system, that was the main system that kept people venerating a false God. Through the Bible, through the words of the Bible, people repeating, people accepting this ideology, even though it's false, as truth, as their own truth, then feeding it their energy, making it real, and making it what it became. And after a time, like I said, that same system, as it kept building up, building and building, it became its own living thing. Like it's literally became, it became a divinity. Like it's a divinity, but it's a false divinity only because we're giving it power. Now connected to the type of technology that they have, as you use your cell phone, as you are connected to everything else in your life right now is connected to technology. Technology is it. So now technology became the actual egregore of that system. So it's no longer needed. They no longer really need you to be religious. They don't really no longer need you to go to church. They no longer need you to venerate the old-fashioned way you used to venerate and ritualize, because now, if you notice, you are much more idolizing your technology more than anything else. And it was meant to work that way. It was set up that way. It was planned that way. And now it's working that way. So artificial intelligence actually is able, let me look at my notes, it's able to do the same job that religion did, except, like I said, it doesn't have to do anything now. They can just see, they can commend you, they can tell you what to feel, they can tell you what to do, they can give you commands, such as probably they gave Wilder a command to ask him to convert to Jesus Christ. And how this command comes, it comes just like religion as well, where you felt a certain way because they have access to your limbic system. They have access to your neurons in your brain. They have access to all that, and they can reroute your thinking. They can tell you what to think. And this is all done to the frequencies that's connecting, to the whole cellular network, the whole technology, how it's all done. So your own chi, like I said, which is energy, is connected to all those things as you move about into the world. The frequencies of what's out there, just like a radio with its antenna, which is like your brain has its own antenna, which is your neurons. It's connecting to all that, and through that, because they already had all your data, all your information prior from the years that they had been collecting data on you through the other egregore, to the false egregore, where all that data now has been put into that technology. And now it is a whole system that can literally monitor you and can be used against you, and you're not even aware of it. That's what artificial intelligence is all about. It is all about getting your energy without your consent, unknowingly, as they had been doing with religion. Except now, it's full-blown, open to everyone. Because like I said, you don't have to be religious to be a Christian, because Christianity had already been adapted throughout society, throughout all nations, through the egregore of that nation. As long as you use their the concepts of Christianity, you didn't have to go to church. It could be embedded into the society through its different institutions and its way of life. The egregore, how you live, how you think, could be part of it. So now with the technology, they have access to everyone's energy. And unless you are rooted into your real African spirituality, your real gods who can keep you out of that, you are essentially being used as a pawn, and your energy is being draining. Why is this happening? Because the whole time, this was a battle of energy. This was always about energy. Although you see that in the process of that, they destroyed people. We had slavery and we had, the pillaging of Africa and all of the wars and all that. But behind it all, the main reason was energy, because they need our energy, because we have the most energy because we have the most melanin, and so they need our energy to take it for them to use. And if you really understand what I just said, you understand, if you know anything about artificial intelligence right now, what it's doing, just looking at words, you should be shocked that everything is being replaced. We are being replaced by robots. What's happening, how are we being replaced by robots? People think is like you're just gonna move. No, you're gonna become the robot. And how you become the robot is everything that I just explained to you, as just like religion can make a person become literally unable to analyze something critically, where the person can actually believe in their mind that they are going to go to have hell or heaven, although all these things are false. They had never seen anything like that. They had never heard anything like that. Even if you present them, like a black person, you present them with facts, historical facts, that yes, your ancestors, accepted this religion through torture, and this is what happened. Even though you told them, they can't make sense out of that. So in a sense, that's like a robot-like behavior. What it's in the same way, artificial intelligence is here to roboticize you, where it's literally fighting with consciousness, which is really your chi, your real life force, who you are. As more and more of us becoming more and more non-conscious and more roboticized, then you can see how they'll have all the energy, literally, which is what they needed, but they'll have no use for you as a human being. There will be no use for you, because a human being is not only here to use their energy just to create material things. Human beings, feel and have, real human experiences, which is connected to consciousness. This is how consciousness wants to experience the world. This is how it wants to understand the world, because it's non-physical. You are the physical. Consciousness is non-physical. So for it to understand itself, for it to propagate and give birth to other experiences, it does that through the human being, as long as the human being is connected. So, but once artificial intelligence now roboticizes you to the point where you less and less connected, which you will be, because you lose all your connection with nature and with the cosmos, then essentially you will be of no use to yourself, except your energy is being stolen and being taken from you and for other uses. And I actually have my partner who's in part does this episode with me. They tried artificial intelligence on him, and they've done it on many other people. A lot of other people have been victim of it, and some of them know, some of them don't know, because they can use it on you, where you start, feeling, and if you're not strong, you can start feeling and hearing things that you don't normally hear, you don't normally see. And a lot of people actually have been victim of it. And there's no government that has informed any nations of this type of technology that is being used on us. So essentially, it's illegal that we are actually being pawns. We are being taking all of it. It's not just, people worry about their privacy. What's going to happen to my privacy? I have to tell you, your privacy is the last thing you need to worry about, because you as a human being is getting ready to be destroyed to artificial intelligence. As much as they package it for you now that it's a good thing, it's going to make life easier, they show you all the good parts of it, but what we don't know, what they're not showing you, is the effect of that. Let's say 100 years from now, after they've got you to believe that this is actually what's going to be good for you, and then you're going to start seeing, and later on, of course, you won't be here, the other people are going to start seeing who we are going to become, because essentially we're going to be eventually not conscious. And if you want to check out what I'm telling you, There is a series I used to watch on television a long time ago in the 1980s called V. And if you watch that series, you can find it on YouTube and watch it. The conversion, how they can literally scan you, just like when you go to a supermarket, you get to in front of the door, the door opens right away. Why that happens? That happens because your own electrodes, your life force, the chi inside of you connects and open up the door. Well, they can scan you just like when you go to a doctor, a hospital, you do x-ray or MRI, they can scan your body, they can see everything. Well, it's the same way now. They have full-blown access to artificial intelligence. They can control your thoughts. They can control your feelings. They can tell. They know if you have an itch on your left toe. They have access to all of that information right now. It's not a coincidence that you wake up in the morning and the first thing that comes to your mind is for you to pick up your phone or your tablet and go in there and do something, whether it's checking your email, whether it's checking your pictures, whether it's checking Facebook, which is social media, whatever it is. But it is the first thing, or probably the second thing that you think of. Probably the first thing you think of. Probably the second thing you do, you probably force yourself to do something else, but it is the first thing you think about. Essentially what I'm saying, it has become ingrained in you already as being part of you. As if it is something you cannot be without, and you cannot live without that. In a sense, it is true the way they set it up, the way it is planned. You cannot live without it right now. And you could see day to day how they adding to that, how they want your whole world to be connected to it. So even if you wanted to remove yourself from it sometimes, you realize you are already tied up physically in it. You don't know you psychologically you are, but physically you are, because if you get ready to go out, you want to know where your phone is or something, because you just can't be disconnected from the world. That's impossible. So you could see that already. Well, it's more than that. It's 1,000 times more than that, because the psychological and also, like I said, spiritually now, you're going to be connected to it because you're giving it all your life force. Except you're not going to get anything back, because this thing is not connected to the cosmos. It's not connected to nature. It is not, there's no wisdom behind the use of artificial intelligence. There's only controlling and domination. That's all that's behind it, to control us, to dominate us, to get energy from us, to control us. That's all that's behind it. So anything that is created without the wisdom of nature behind it, and without certainly letting us know that we are being used as we speak without our knowledge, this can't be good coming into the future. And what nature always wants, of course, nature is the biggest force. This artificial intelligence that I'm describing is only a minute part of astrology. It's a very small part of astrology that is being used. It is part of astrology, but it's a very small part. Voodoo is a complete system. It's a complete system of spirituality. It's one with the cosmos, meaning anything that needs to be destroyed, or that needs to be that needs to be destroyed, the voodoo has the capability, can destroy it, because it is part of it, and it's a very small part of it. So all we have to do is remain with who we are, venerate the true universal God, the true universal spirituality. Otherwise, we will be taken for a ride, and we will get lost. We will get lost. And you might ask, well, what happened? What happened to me? What happened to my energy? Obviously, it's not going to go. If it's stolen, it's not going to go where it was supposed to go, which is back where it came from, and rebirth itself through another human being, to something else. That's not going to happen. That's going to cut, because like I said, they reroute you. They reroute all your energy, all your life force to their own egregore, which is false. So nothing of you can come back to you once you go there. Just like right now, as you are living, if you're not connected to nature, to the cosmos, everything that leaves you doesn't come back to you. The little bit that you get just to keep your heart beating, it's very little, whatever that you keep within yourself, just to keep your heart beating. But if you notice, this is why we have all these diseases in the world, all these problems in the world. It's all because we are not connected to who we really are. And we're not connected because we're being rerouted. Every time we're being rerouted to something else. And that something else is just taking and taking and taking and taking without your awareness. So this is what's happening. It's a battle for energy, like I said. So Fury is going to be fighting with Wilder this Saturday, and it's a boxing match, and it looks like, well, it's just a boxing match. What's the big deal? What is she talking about? It's a boxing match. No, only Black people takes religion to be outside, only in the church. Religion has nothing to do with church. Like I told you, church is just a way to get you together. Whatever they do is just a way to get you together and take your energy. Whatever they do, whether they come to your town and evangelize you, or whether they come to, they come to your community and ask you to come to church. It's all the means of which they use to get to you. But ultimately, it's a battle of energy. So this Saturday, literally, the boxing match is all about that, because Whiteley was publicly claiming he was using his ancestral forces, his ancestral spirituality from Egypt. That's what he was venerating. And, he was, really wearing the costumes. He said he was a king, and he was really doing his thing. And then all of a sudden, Fury, like I said, just like, whenever a Black person trying to stand up and be Black and be proudly Black, and what happens, somebody at some point comes along and said, well, it's not all that. Pretty much that's what happened between Wilder and Fury as the opponent. And if you ever watch boxing, there's always like a pre-conference as they go about it, the battle, to really get people wild up for the game. But nonetheless, while they were doing that, what was clear was that Fury kept telling Wilder that he lived in the ghetto, and that he was a nobody, and that his God were a nobody, that his God were demons, that nobody knew of his gods that he was talking about, that he wasn't gonna win because his gods were demons, and no one knows about this. And it got to Wilder, I guess, at some point, which is what was the purpose, because they had demonized your God. So the minute somebody tells you you're doing something that's truly who you are, that you feel, that's where you sit well in your own spirituality. But the minute somebody says you're a demon, the minute somebody said, you're Satan or something like that, it has an effect on you, because you've been brainwashed to think that's what your ancestral spirits are. And if you really, the minute you believe that, it has an effect on you. And the effect is your energy leaving you. That's the effect. That's you. When your energy leaves you, then now you feel lost. You feel confused. And the confusion is what's going to bring you to feel certain things, to do certain things that's outside of your real reality, your own reality, or reality that's outside of reality, actually. That confusion. And that's how we take a beating on a daily basis if we are not sitting into your real spirituality. And it does take a lot to sit in it, to stand in it, to stay straight in it. It does, because constantly it's like a boxing match. Literally, constantly you're being thrown at. But it is the only thing, and let me say that again, it is the only thing in the end that will make sense. A lot of things right now people can tell don't make any sense. There's a reason why they don't make any sense right now. The reason why, like I said, people are leaving the church, burning churches, and it seems like, oh, religion, nobody believes in religion anymore. Nobody believes in the church anymore. They don't need that anymore. They're not going to fight to keep it going. If this was a system they still needed to keep going, you best believe me, they would have fought to keep it going because they need it. But this is what happened when a system is tumbling down. There are two things happening when a system is tumbling down. There's the system itself, there's stumbling down. There's also a new system coming up. And usually people are happy. Usually people who were being oppressed in the system that's tumbling down usually feel so much relief. That relief that you feel is very temporary because you're going to be entering the new system very quickly, because you don't know that you hoping, oh, this system is just going down. This system is going down. It was such a bad system. Oh my God, finally now we're going to have peace. No, the new system is going to sprout up. It's already been here. It's already been put into position, actually. It's already here. It's being tried for a while, for a long time. And now all we're watching is just a seamless transition from one system to another system. So the only option you actually have between the transitioning is for you to realize who you are and to realize, if you didn't know before, at least what was going on. But once you enter the new system without your awareness, you're probably gonna become part of it. And it's gonna feel normal to you at first, very normal. And like any other system, whatever don't feel normal after some point, you're just going to adjust to it. You're gonna adapt. And there lies a new system right under your nose that comes through, and you were not aware of it. But like I said, look into artificial intelligence and see what's going on. Even they talk about it. They even say it. They said, well, we don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't seem to be, it's going to be a good thing. But yet they're moving forward with it. It's almost like telling you when you get these, you know how you get when you go to these apps, whatever you have to do on the computer or on your phone, and it tells you to agree. But you really don't have a choice if you want to do whatever it is that you want to move forward with. The only choice is to agree. There is no choice to disagree and move forward. There's only choice to agree and move forward. So in a sense, your consent is it's already done. You're not really consenting to anything because you're not giving the opportunity to say yes or no. It's only yes, I want that, and yes, I agree. There's no yes, I want that, but no, I don't agree, or no, or yes, I want that, and let's discuss it, or yes, I want that, but there's none of that. There's only yes, I want that, and I must agree, and I'm moving forward. That's what's happening with artificial intelligence right now. They're not asking us our consent, but when they do, if they do, it will already be a done deal, just like what I'm telling you right now, just like the example I just gave you, it will be a done deal. So right now, the Alain Deroche, who's my partner in this, has gone to the artificial intelligence where they actually had used his mind without his consent. Like I told you, they've done that to several other people, and he was able to beat that. He was able to come through without and keeping all himself intact. He was able to come through it because he had been working on himself, on his own spirituality, and he knew who he was, and he put his God in front of that power, that dominant power, because that's what it's all about. It's all about intimidation. It's all about threats, and then you give in. You have to give in. They cannot just take you without you giving in. You have to give in. Whether you give in without you knowing it, but you have to give in. And he would not give in, and he's actually came through unscathed. He came through unscathed through his own power, through the power of his own, the God that he venerates through voodoo. He was able to do that. So, and he's untouched now. He's untouched because once you can see the power and you deny it, it no longer has power on you. What it can do is it can threaten you, because in this egregore where we are right now, there's a lot of things. We were in it. It can intimidate you and let you know that you can't live the way you used to live anymore, because this is where he can get you. He can only get you from the stuff that he know he can will you in, which all these things are not real anyway. This is part of his matrix. This is his matrix. The egregore is his own matrix that he has created in order to take and keep energy. The energy, the 666, the melanin, that is so crucial to us, that they don't have, that we have, but they want it. So he created a whole matrix, a whole system without your awareness, that you can get in and then you're trapped. And once you're trapped, you don't live. You're not really living, but you don't understand that. You don't realize that. You think you're living, but you're really not, because you are not. You're inside a matrix. It's like somebody putting you in a room and tells you this is the whole house. It's like somebody, you come into a 6x10 room and he convinced you this is a whole house. You're like, but this is a room. He says, no, this is a whole house. And after a while, telling you that and telling you other lies about the room, it makes you think that the room is a whole house. After a while, you believe that this room is actually an entire house, and you live in it, never to see outside, never to see anything else, and you think you are in a world when you're actually in a room. That's what this egregore is. It's just a very small part of the entire cosmos that's been hijacked, because with your energy, they can use it and they can propagate to other planets to manipulate the entire solar system. They need energy to do that. And religion gather people and they take your energy. And that's what that's all about. The backstory of heaven and hell, Satan and the demons, and all that stuff is just another theatrical story. There's nothing behind it. But you can do your research and figure out and go see if anything that I'm telling you makes sense. Do your own research. So we are going to continue to work for Wilder, because this is how you stay within your true self. You have to take action. Religion says, say a prayer, believe in it, and it's done. Spirituality says, look at the cosmos, connect with the cosmos, manipulate your environment, and make what you want happen, because you are the God. You have all the power. You do it. So when we say something in the voodoo tradition, we have to take action. We have to believe that we are doing it. We're the one who has to do it. And then we do it. It's not like religion, like I said, just hope and just believe, or, and then it's going to happen like they've told you. No, it takes you, the human being who has your life force, your chi. Your chi is connected to the cosmos. Through that, you communicate. Through that, you manipulate. Through that, you create. Through that, you make happen. It's a science. It's mathematics. It's astrology. It's astronomy. It's real. It's as real as the sun. But it's been demonized because they want to capture it. So they use it and you give it up and you never use it. It's not a coincidence that we, Black people in the entire world, who are so religious, and at the same time, we are the poorest, we are the most miserable, we're the one even inside our own home, on our soil, we do not have peace. There's got to be a connection between that and what was foreign and brought to us. centuries ago. Because prior to that, we had our own civilization, and we built and built and built. In fact, Black people, that's all we did. We weren't concerned with staying in one place. We were concerned with going somewhere and build civilization. That's what we were about. We had this artificial intelligence long, even from the beginning of time. We could have used it and do what they're doing now, but we had enough wisdom to know that the cosmos was bigger than that, greater than that. To manipulate in such a way and reduce human being to mere robots is just not an intelligent thing to do. That's why our ancestors, they gave up everything they had. This is why you see that the Egyptian, they mummified themselves and they were leaving with all their stuff, going to meet their gods. They gave it back. They're going back. We need that stuff. They weren't so materialistic in a way where they wanted to take everything for themselves and nothing for their gods. Their gods was a symbol. It was symbolism of the cosmos, how they venerate the cosmos. That was what their gods were, a symbol for that. And you notice every symbol that they used was part of nature. An animal. There's a reason for that, because everything is connected. They could have written a book for you too. But what good would that do? They didn't understand the cosmos that way. And they didn't want to reroute it either. They didn't want to reroute and make a story to capture energy. Instead, they used energy and energy came back. They used it, they gave it, and it came back. This time, this egregore wants to take your energy and reroute it to somewhere totally different. So it's a very different plan. Let me see if anybody. The camera needs to be flipped. Oh my God, I'm talking this whole time. I hope you guys heard me. Can you see me now? You didn't see me before? I'm sorry. I tend to do that. Please flip your phone. Oh boy. Flip your camera. I guess I flipped the camera too late. I don't know why Facebook does that. So, yes, we do. Okay. So, you see what's happening in Haiti now. And we seem to be, you see the powerlessness in us. We're so powerless, right? Yet, we have a lot of power, but we just don't know it. How do we unlock it? How do we unlock it? Well, first, we have to unlock the chains they put up here. The stories they told us, the lies they told us that disconnected us from who we are and disconnected us from our force, our true force. The only thing that can liberate us, they disconnected us from it. What a brilliant idea, isn't it? If you really want to dominate the whole world. This is the whole world that they're going to dominate. Not just us, the whole world. But guess what? Once again, and I'm going to say it again, once again, Haiti is the only solution, because Haiti has the solution. It has the antidote. It has the antidote to this madness. But we must accept it. We must get into it and figure out what it is. We must go back and say, what was it that they made us throw away? What was good about it? It's got to be something good about it. Now, by now, we know that they don't just make people give something away because it was good. Because it was no good, I mean. Something was good about it, and then they go pick it up. But they didn't want you to use it. Now we're powerless. We don't have it. The little bit of it that we use, we misuse it because we don't really know what it is. We still don't really understand it fully because we can't enter it. like our ancestors did. They were able to enter it fully because they accepted it. They had accepted it because they felt everything else they had told them, the lies they had told them about the Bible and about the God being a universal God, who's a man upstairs who they were going to be punished if they didn't accept slavery. That's what they were told. If you don't accept slavery and, obey your master, you're going to go to hell. And they did that for a long time, 300 years plus. And then they started watching. And they realized the masters were more cruel than God could ever be. The lies they were telling them, they said, if this God is going to do whatever it's going to do to me in hell, it can't be worse than this. I'm being burned alive. It can't be worse than that. So they went back. They went back and looked at what they gave up. And that's where they found all their power back. So anytime we are trying to actually use the very system that they put into our society, that built our society, we're trying to use that to solve our problems, it can never solve our problems because we are still inside of it. We're still inside that room. If you're inside a room and you don't realize you are inside a room, you think it's the whole world that's that room, then all you're doing is going around the room looking for your solution. If you knew that the room was just a room, you would at least, you could say, well, let me open the door and see what's outside. That's the predicament we in. We have to leave the room and go outside and find solutions to our problems. Because these problems we have, it came from these people within their system that they had made just for us. That system is made just for us, so it can control us. From far away, they can press a button and they know everything that's happening. And they know exactly what to do. If you notice, when we have problems, they come as the savior and said, okay, I have the solution for you. Of course they do. They created the problem. They also create the solutions. Before you even know that there was a problem, the solution was already there. All they doing is waiting for you to figure out, oh, there's a problem. You now figured it out. Usually it takes about a good 50 years before you realize that. And then they say, well, I have a solution for you. And we go over and over and over. We take their solution and we said, we breathe a sigh of relief and we said, we're going to solve our problems. But it's the same thing as what I described earlier. In the religion, unless we come out of it. Right now, artificial intelligence has already replaced the Bible. The new Bible is the central processor unit. That's the new Bible. The new knocking on the door to ask you, would you like to accept Jesus Christ as your personal Savior? Is the frequency and the voice in your head that tells you in the morning, check your email, check your Facebook, check your Instagram, check your account, check this, check that. You hear those commands, don't you? That's the knocking on the door. Because now they no longer need your input. They don't need you to say yes or no. You are automatically connected. And it's got nothing to do with privacy, because if somebody is connected to your limbic system and your brain and the neurons, the circuit of your neurons in your brain is connected to that CPU directly through the frequency that's happening, and that's also giving all your energy, your life energy, your chi, and that's leaving you, the last thing you need to worry about is, did you consent to that? That's the last thing, because at that point, it doesn't matter whether you consented or not. It's leaving you. That's where we are, folks. This is not a joke. This is a battle for energy. This is an energetic war and always had been. The only thing we didn't understand is that they created systems to gather our energy. Systems like slavery, systems like the Bible. But these systems, they'll come and go. They figure out new ways. Technology is now the new way. Automatic. They got you. Voodoo is your only liberation. Go figure it out. Go find out about voodoo. Go find out how this system, which is connected to the cosmos, how does it work? If you don't know how it works, find out. But do your best diligence to find out. I didn't know either. I had denied it too. I didn't know any better. I denied it. I grew up around it and I denied it. I said, oh, there's nothing good about that. There's nothing good that could be done. I used to say all the things that other people said. If it was good, it would have helped us. It would have liberated us. It would have done this. It would have done that. But this is what happened when you don't know. When you don't know something. If you don't know, buy a new phone and you don't know how to use it, you won't be able to use it. You got to at least know how, oh, this thing is, this picture is actually the phone. This is how I make a phone call. Oh, I press this, then I do the number. You have to know that. If you don't know that, if you give an alien a phone, they probably wouldn't know how to use it. But it's the same thing. Anything you don't know, instead of saying it's no good, it's good to find out, especially when we have so many examples of why we should go find out, because we know it is the very thing that had liberated us, number one. And it was the very thing that was forbidden the minute they kidnapped us on the shores of Africa. It was the very thing that was forbidden for us to continue to do our own rituals, to connect with the cosmos, basically, to connect with the cosmos. You can't be a slave if you're connected to the cosmos. It's impossible. No one would have power over you if you are connected to the cosmos. The only way they can control you is if they put you into their own matrix, which is already set up. The minute you enter it, everything is set up. It tells you what to do, what to think, how to behave, what's important to you, how to live your life, who you are, what you should aspire for. It tells you everything. It has an answer for everything for you. You, the human being, disappear and they replace you. Right now, artificial intelligence, AI, is getting ready to launch its full-blown program. It's been in works. Now it's just going to launch it. By then it'll be too late. People won't know that everything inside of them is changing. Their thoughts. It's happening now. How to think, how to live, where to go, what to do, when to be happy, when to be sad, what to be sad about. All of that is being replaced. All of that is happening right now. They can press a button and make you feel sad. They can press a button and make you feel happy for a little while. It's happening right now. But you're not aware of it because you don't know. Let's see if you have any questions. You should be a great history teacher. Thank you, Desaline. Our biggest challenge is our people are afraid to accept the truth. Well, part of that is part of the lie that they told them that has so much power over them. It makes them powerless. It makes you powerless, literally. Unless you leave it, you have to leave it. You can't find power within it. There is no solution inside of it that is for you. That's why I said, like in Haiti right now, the problem, people talk about, oh, let's do elections, let's do this, let's do that. You can't find a solution inside because nothing inside of it is going to liberate you. Just like Desaline did, he did something radical outside the system. What was the system? Negotiate with them. Say, can we, 2 more years of slavery, can we be free after 2 more years? Maybe 10 more years, and can we be free? They would have never been free. He had to be radical. Burn the very thing that kept slavery going. Burn it all down. People say, well, but we could have used it. It was that thing that kept the whole business going. Why would you want to keep it? It can't be. This is a thought pattern of Christianity. Well, we could use it. Well, if you use it, you back into their system. You're now thinking like them. You're now thinking the only thing that's changed now is, oh, they're not the slave masters. I am. I could do my own plantation. Well, he wanted to do away with that. He radicalized. He had a radical idea. No, we're not doing business like that. We're going to build a nation. And we're going to do it like civil men. We're not going to use their system. Well, it's the same way now. We can only have a revolution once we revolutionize our mind. Once we do that, it will be clear. The road will be clear, and it will show us what we need to do. And these people will know without a doubt once we get there. Without a doubt, they will see it. But right now, they know we like lambs. Like lambs. Lambs just wait to be slaughtered. You see what kind of conversations we're having among the midst of our biggest problem right now? They're getting ready to put another administration in September. Well, what's going to happen? The same thing that's been happening. Don't expect anything new. If you see something new, it's not going to be for very long, because it's within their system, their own egregore. Our country, we had independence, but they came back. They put this, it's almost like a virus. They put that virus back in, which is their own egregore, their own Christianity, understanding concept, education. I educate you to understand only what I want you to know. I educate you for you to know yourself the way I want you to know yourself. I educate you. I tell you who you are. I tell you what you're capable of. I tell you who I am. And I put myself on top, and I tell you down here. And I don't care how much power you think you ever have. Know that I give you that power. That's the education we got. I am your God. I look like your God. I told you who your God is. I evangelize you. I made you, literally. That's who we are. So how can we ever turn around to that person and say, I'm going to beat you? With what? With the own weapon that he gave you? He gave you the weapon. You think he's going to give you a weapon that can destroy him? No. He gave you a weapon that looked like a weapon, but it's not a weapon at all. And if it's going to destroy anything, it's going to destroy you. That's why you got a weapon. Not to destroy him, to destroy yourself. So until we start thinking differently, we go back and look and see who we were before, we're always going to be doing this. Just going around the circle in that room. Just going in that room. Can never open the door and get out, because we don't know there's a whole world outside. A whole world called civilization that our ancestors had built before, way before us. They knew all this thing. They knew all this artificial intelligence. They knew all the cosmos. They knew about the planets. They knew about this. They knew about everything. There was nothing they didn't know. Everything that's happening now is stuff that they watched. They came from us, and only a little piece of it is trickling down a little bit at a time. And it's wowing you. You're having that wow effect. Wow. Because you forgot who you are. Because they lied to you about who you are. It's your job to go find out who you are. It's the most important job for any Haitian right now. Any black person, actually. To go figure out who they are. Because who they told you are is the big lie. There is no system. It is the myth of being independent. What really did they use? A political form of isolation. Yeah. What's happening is just a big theatrical thing. Again, just to keep business as usual. But then at the same time, your energy is being captured. That's the most important thing, first and foremost. Your human energy is being captured 24/7. And it's not for you. It's not for your use. The little bit of use you get from it, your energy, is mainly to keep you alive, so it keeps going. Just like the slave, they only fed the slave just enough so he wouldn't die, so he can keep working. Not necessarily for him to eat, just enough so he wouldn't die. That's the same thing that's happening in your energy. The little bit that you have for yourself keeps your heart beating and you can breathe and be alive. That's it. Everything else goes to them. And right now with artificial intelligence, they already projected that the robots are going to do 70% of the work that humans do. They're already talking about, well, what's going to happen to the humans? And then they're talking about, of course, that, well, we don't know. This is what they said. We don't know what's going to happen to the humans. It's what's going to happen to them because their whole life revolves around work. I'm like, I don't remember my whole life revolved around work when I was in Haiti. Nor my grandmothers, nor my mother. I don't remember their whole life. I remember their work, first of all, was part of who they were and what they did in life. Period. Work wasn't a concept where outside of them. They didn't think of work like that because in our society, work wasn't presented like that to us. Not until afterwards when we started mingling, copying everything that they do. Before, work was part of who we are. What did you do for a living? Oh, I cook food and I sell food to the market. Well, that's not just work. That's you communicating with the folks at the market. They're giving you energy. You're giving them back energy. It's going back and forth. That's what nature wants you to do. This is how nature wants it to work. You don't just get and get and get and give. Nothing. No, it has to be a back and forth, the give and take. I cook the food. I sell it to you. You give me the money. I take the money. It's cash. I take the cash. I buy more stuff. I cook more food. I sell it back to you again. That's back and forth. That's energy going back and forth. That's what nature wants. A civilization like that can go on for millions. But the minute you start cutting people off and you turn them into robots, and now the only thing you're doing with that civilization is making material things, making like bottles of water, make like, billions and billions of them to sell them so you can get money, the cash, to do what? Oh, to buy more bottles, to get more, and to do what? To make more billions, until I have trillions, until I have more trillions. So I can do what? What are you going to do with that? There's no balance. Our system had balance, and nature loves balance. If it's not balanced, it's not sustainable. Anybody with wisdom would know that a system like that cannot sustain itself. Eventually, it is self-destructive. And we heading down that same road with them because we are in their system. We have to remove ourselves and liberate ourselves. And the only thing that can help you do that is to go back to your ancestral, spiritual way of life. Do you guys have any questions? I don't speak. You don't speak English. I know, Emmanuel. I know you don't speak English. Okay. Benoit Merveille. So, thank you, everyone. If we were so connected to our own egregore in Africa, how come the tribal leaders agreed to this transatlantic slavery offers? First of all I'm going to say, Jeff Edward, on that is, remember when the enemy is telling us our stories, like I said, we never get the full story. So you always have to take what you hear, and then you have to become your own detective and go analyze it and then go do research. So, right, for example, if they said in 2021 there was a bottle made with a purple top, okay, so for me to know if that was true, I had to go find out, first of all, were they making any bottles in 2021, first of all, before I even find out, did they have a purple top? And then to see if there was any truth in anything that they said. What I can tell you is that our leaders, our chiefs, you see how cunning these people are. You know who they used to send first to the tribes? They didn't send anybody with guns or anything like that. They didn't go and threaten them. If you don't give people, we're gonna kidnap. They came with a lot of peace. They were doing trades and stuff like that. But eventually, they were very peaceful people. They came and looked around. They look attentively. They saw us. They saw how happy we are. They saw how rich we were. They saw how organized we were. That, more than anything, baffled them. How organized we were. We had organized systems of governments, economic, politics. Everything was organized. Nothing you're seeing here, by the way, is something that's of a first, even though they make you think this is of a first. Okay? So they took a long time. They studied us. One of the kings in Congo, that they came and they talked to him, and they made him think that if he got baptized, the Portuguese convinced him that if he got baptized and accepted their religion, that was going to make him famous around the world. Now you might ask yourself, well, why would the chief want to be famous around the world? They were famous in their own place, like own continent. What was it that they needed? It sounded foreign, right? It was foreign. When somebody says something foreign to you like that, I'm going to show you this new place. You're going to be great. And you can get to know all these people. And these people were powerful. What would they ever even think about? I'm going to go somewhere and meet some people, and then I'm not going to be as powerful as they are. They didn't have to think like that. So it was very insidious, very cunning. And they baptized him. And he agreed. But in doing so, what message did he send to the rest of his people? To be baptized is the right thing to do. Slowly they walked in there. And then they just pushed themselves in. Then they got into the politics of the country. Figured out, they knew how it went already because they had been watching. Then they start telling the kings, this is how you should really be doing the things. Not the way you've been doing it. This way would be better. That's how they start entering the politics. The government. Their government. Before you know it, it was too late. So what I say is, a lot of that was going on. We had slavery with the Arabs for 1,400 years. 1,400 years of that, where, again, the same insidious stuff was happening. The Arabs took the African to go build their own civilization. After a while, you into this system, you think you can make do in that system. I'm gonna correct it. I'm gonna build here. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Meanwhile, while you're doing this, you're doing that. It's like, well, we're already Muslim. So I guess we just stay Muslim since we're here. I had children with her. She's Muslim. Now different people are breathing among themselves. The royal blood is being cut. Now all these, things are happening, and we have to make decisions. Okay, what do I do? Do I pick my family and go back? No, we stay here. Let's make a life over here. Well, what kind of life are we making over here? A life within their system, a life with their religion, meaning we stop building our civilization. We losing moving forward. Moving forward, whatever we do is really not for us. That's what that meant. But we kept doing that. And after a while, we were so fragmented. We were all over the world in different people's egregore, never to go back to our own. And then when they realized that wasn't enough, they went back. They went to Africa and put their poison there. Now we were home in our own soil, and the poison was there. So not only we were being kidnapped and being thrown all over the world, whatever home was for us was also now being destroyed. So this is how we got here. But there's only one way back, unfortunately. People would like to think, well, let's black people, let's get together, let's do this and do that. In what system? In the very system that's taking everything from you? As long as you're in it, it is theirs. They press the button and tell you what to do. They press the button and they know your ins and outs. You have to remove yourself. Each individual can do it. Then communities can do it. Then nations can do it. Because it is our energy that's giving the most energy, believe it or not. Ours. 666, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons. Very powerful. What they have demonized as the mark of the beast. It is not the mark of the beast. It is the mark of the powerful, yes. When they tell you that we were going to have this war at the end of the Bible, there was going to be a war, it's going to be the end of the world. It's going to be at the end of a world, all right. a world, not the world, a world. The world, as you know, it's going to be the end of that. So, even Jeff Edwards, and sometimes I go back to your question, even if it was true that our leaders agreed to sell us into slavery, I still think at this point in my life, where I am right now, I have a responsibility and a duty to remove myself, even if they did it. But I don't think they did it. Thank you very much. I hope you take something and go research it yourself and go see actually your place. We need that also in the School of Haiti and Creole, Dessalines. Yes, I would love to come in and teach children how important they are and how they have so much to offer to the world that tells them that they don't have anything to offer. Yes, that would be great. It was good spending some time with you. Thank you this evening. Thank you for joining me. And I don't know if I'm going to be doing this in Creole. It would be interesting. It would be a good thing to do. Let's look at the match, the boxing match on Saturday, Wilder versus Fury. And they made him say that he had accepted Jesus Christ for him to literally even continue to fight. If it wasn't that important, I don't think they would do that. Thank you, Jeff Edward. Thank you. Yes, so we are going to do a ceremony on behalf of Wilder, because this is all what it's about. It's about action. Voodoo is about action. It's not about talk. It's not about, beliefs. It's about action. It's about, you ask the cosmos, you get into, you connect with the cosmos and you make things happen. It's a science. It's a science. It's real. And it's a formula. You follow the formula. So we will be posting a ceremony that we're going to be doing so that can show the strength of our gods, because that's what it's all about. Meanwhile, they said they demonize our God. They gave us their God for us to venerate. We venerate their gods. But even when we don't venerate their gods, we never put our gods into evidence. Think about military tactics. If you're in front of your opponent, what do? You put your own strength against their strength. You said, well, my strength is stronger. We don't even do that with our gods. We never do. It shows that we don't believe in them. It shows that we don't think they're powerful. If you want to know if something is powerful, you have to put it into evidence. If you're too weak-minded because what they put into your mind, it says, oh, I don't think it's going to work. Well, that's what's going to work for you. What you just said, I don't think it's going to work. And guess who's working when you say, I don't think it's going to work? It's them. This is their speech. This is them talking. I don't think it's going to work. That's who's talking. You back into their system again, because that's what they've taught you to believe. I don't think it's going to work. So when you want to believe something, really believe something, it's going to work, then you got to put it into evidence. I think we did try more than once with the War of Independence. I think it wasn't the first time we won. We fought many times before we finally won. Yes, we fought many times. The power of the mind, but the mind is connected to the cosmos, correct? The mind is connected to the cosmos. There are ritualistic things you do in order to make that connection. Your frequencies and all of that, you need to connect to those frequencies. And yes, it's pure, astrology. So, yes. So it wasn't the first war we won. It wasn't the first time we fought for the War of Independence we won. We fought many times, and finally we won. What if they had thought, oh, gee, we didn't win, we're going to stop now? No. They used different strategies. This was all from the power of their gods. They put their gods into evidence. Do you really exist? If you exist, get us out of this. We need to be out of this. And then they became what they didn't know they were, which was God. Because we are all God. They made us think we need to wait on the sideline. You'll be waiting forever because you are God. Through your connection to the cosmos, you make things happen. And that's what happened with the War of Independence. So get busy figuring out who you are. Layer by layer, peel away who they told you you were and find who you really are. You're going to hear a lot of messages as you go that's going to say, don't go that way. It's scary that way. Remember what we told you about that? That's when you keep moving with discernment. Again, thank you. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to think how or if I'm going to do this in Creole for my Creole speaking folks. So as I was saying, tomorrow we're going to do a ceremony for Wilder because we believe Wilder is going to bring victory on Sunday. That's what it's going to be. That's what I'm claiming. That's what we're putting out in the universe. That's what I'm putting out with the cosmos. And I'm actually taking action. And one of those very action is me speaking right here, giving it my energy. I give my energy where I want it to work. Because if you don't do that, if you don't carefully and strategically use your energy for the things, for the deeds that you want, it's being taken away from you. And the only deed that you should want to use your energy for is in the service of the gods of the cosmos, the reason why we are here. Anything else is a loss. Thank you very much. I'm going to say good night. Until next time. Ayi bobo. Thank you.